Welcome to Week and Geek, your new comics preview for May 15th. I'm Mike Ortiz.
I'm the Chris Brown.
What do you got?
I'm going to lead off here with a book from Kaboom. This is regular show number 1. The Adventure Time did really, really well. It's been extremely popular. So I'm kind of thinking just based on that, they've got, I think, similar people kind of working on it. I think they even got a Chris Houghton cover on one of them, and local guy who had done, what were they doing? The thing with the bear and the cowboy.
I don't remember.
That Image was doing. It started out kind of local, and Image ended up publishing it. But I just suspect this is going to be quality book because Kaboom's doing it. They did a great job with Adventure Time, and regular show's a great cartoon. Cool. Really, really funny and weird, and I think it'll fit well with what Kaboom's doing. Next, I've got Exo Manowar number 13. This is, I think, part 3 of Planet Death. The last issue, Eric ends up going to the home planet of the Vine and finds that basically the descendants of his people are still slaves on this planet. Many generations have passed, as they have on Earth. And here he is, he's found that there's other things going on. There's still remnants of his people. And he's been captured and the armor's been taken away. So something's bound to happen. It's kind of Planet Death. So I'm sure lots of people are going to die.
Yeah.
And Eric was the main character in the previous Exo Manowar. I can't imagine they're just going to shrug that off and move on. So sure, he's going to get that armor back, but I'm curious to see how he does that. Then I've got Bloodshot number 11. This book, you almost had to remind me to put this in my stack, and I hemmed and I hawed, and it is a part of the Harbinger Wars.
Right.
This is Bloodshot 11. It's not that I don't like the book, it's not doing it for me. It's okay, it's just not my thing anymore. Drop the Bag, who watches us every week on YouTube and always chimes in, has some comments to say. He really likes this book. He really digs it a lot. He looks forward to it every week. And, I try. I'm giving it a go. I do like how it's fitting into the Harbinger Wars. He's essentially the boogeyman to the Psyot kids. But he has found some, and he's struggling with his own thing and trying to figure out who he is. And so I guess there's something to that, and they're about to change the title of the book to Bloodshot and the Hardcore. Okay. So that's the way they're going to introduce the hardcore into the whole thing. And I almost prefer that, than just adding characters, as I said last week, as opposed to just giving everyone a title, which I think became the downfall of Valiant in the first place.
Yeah. I don't want to expand too much.
Right. You got to stick to your titles, do your thing, and have fun and just tell good stories. Next, I've got Non-Humans number 3 by Image Comics. This book seems like it's taking forever to come out. They were giving it a lot of hype at first. I think it had previews and some pretty high, high visibility books. And then it took forever to come out. And then the second issue took 4 months to come out after that. And then now we finally got issue 3. I like it. I don't know. I think I originally thought this was going to be an ongoing, but I'm wondering if it actually has an end game in mind, and because the creative team just doesn't seem to be able to keep up with it.
Yeah.
It's this idea, where this thing has happened across the world where inanimate objects are coming to life. And, teenagers are most, kind of afflicted by it because, teenagers and kids, because they have that imagination still, and they can essentially end up turning, mechanical, robotic, whatever. It's kind of strange. You end up finding out that this childhood toy of this police detective is the one that's been running a lot of stuff, and it's interesting. It's good. I just wish it came out on time so that I could remember it a little better. But I do like it. It's been a good book. Haven't had a chance to read this issue, but I thought the second issue had a pretty nice reveal. Was a little strange. There was even an old kind of silent film actress who had was actually a robot the whole time. She wasn't, and then the robot got rid of her and had become her, and really weird, but cool. Then I've got Luther Strode, The Legend of Luther Strode, number 5 of 6. I really like this book. The first series I thought was really cool, and the second series has taken some really strange turns. I mean, he's full on into it now. It's about Luther Strode gets essentially one of those Charles Atlas kind of books, and it's been held by some kind of cosmic librarian, and its intention is to give you powers. Not everyone is able to derive the powers from it. Luther Strode does, and now he's sort of a boogeyman to mobsters and things of that nature.
Interesting.
It's a cool book. The artwork's fantastic. And Justin Jordan is going to be writing a book in that Adventures of Superman book that's coming up. He's writing the story that he's writing is the one that Riley is drawing.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool. I'm looking forward to that.
Taking over Green Lantern New Guardians.
Oh, is he?
He's the new writer of that.
Okay.
When they restart everything.
There you go. So not only are all these Image number 1s and these Image books getting the fans all whipped into a frenzy, they're having bigger publishers scoop these creative talents up. Speaking of Image number 1s, I'm looking at The Dream Merchant number 1. This is by Nathan Edmondson, who'd also done something called The Light that no one paid any attention to. He'd done a few things that no one paid any attention
Yeah,
to.
he's done several Image books.
Yeah, and they haven't done very well, but now everyone's starting to pay more attention. This artwork, this Konstantin Novosadov, awesome stuff. Really cartoony, but clean and really nice. I like it. I think it looks really cool. I have not had a chance to read the book yet, but it's an Image #1. Nathan Edmondson's been doing a lot of stuff. You know, nothing that I had read, but I'm willing to give it a shot because I think that artwork looks really cool.
Right.
And that takes me through the bulk of my stack here on a very short week.
Pretty light week. I'm going to start off with Think Tank #7. This is the story of a guy who's a super genius who's working for a government think tank that basically builds weapons.
Right.
This is the second storyline. In the first storyline, he kind of figured out a way to escape from the government because he realized he didn't want to be part of killing all these people. Then in the second storyline, it looked like he had given up any hopes of getting out and was now fully on board and coming up with really horrible weapons that were violating the Geneva Convention and things like that. So it really looked like it was taking an interesting turn that this guy was now accepting his fate. But then at the end of the last issue, well, no, this is just part of yet another trick to try and screw up the government. I don't know if that premise is going to last, that every storyline is going to be, hey, he's working with them, but at the end, he's not.
Right.
I hope that's not going to be the way these all play out. I actually thought the idea that he was kind of becoming a little bit more villainous was kind of interesting, but then there was a twist at the end of the last issue. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully they'll keep this kind of fresh. It's a real interesting book. A lot of the high-tech stuff that they do is based on real science and real tech.
Okay.
And in the back of every issue, they kind of talk about all of these things that they bring up in the book. The book's set in the present, supposedly in our world. How much is true and some real actual technology. Interesting stuff, some twists and turns, but hopefully the twists and turns don't become kind of predictable. Next up, Green Lantern, the animated series. This has been canceled because the TV show got canceled. But this has got Lobo, which should be a lot of fun, even though, you know, when Lobo started out, he wasn't exactly a kid-friendly character. I remember he Bite Me Fanboy with a big crotch shot on his first issue. But they can soften him enough to bring him in here. Ivan Cohen, I guess Art and Franco are not really doing this book anymore. So it's a Green Lantern book. It's kind of fun. It's lighthearted, all done in one stuff. But like the show, it doesn't have a whole lot of time left. Actually, the show's over, but this doesn't have a lot of time left. Next up, we've got Ultimate Comics Spider-Man. Classic cover. Miles walking away from the costume as Peter did back in like issue 50 or something.
Issue 50, yep.
And this cover's just been aped and repeated so many times. It's probably up there with...
It's a classic, though.
With the Fantastic Four #1 probably is one of the... And the two teams fighting in the Justice League #1.
Action
anyway,
Comics #1,
yeah.
like that. It's just one of those iconic things
It is
that you are going to see parodied over and over again. Even what was it, is it the Wolverine cover with the Days of Future Past and all that? You see those time and time again.
It's fitting very well because Miles is, at least for a while, walking away from being Spider-Man. Actually, this shot was in Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
I think of it. In the last issue, Miles learned that if you're going to be a Spider-Man, people close to you are going to die. So some tragedy has entered his life, and now he has to decide whether or not he wants to stick with this and put more people at risk. It's really been kind of a strange inversion. When they first introduced the character, there were a lot of differences between him and Peter. And now that his mother was killed at the end of the last issue, and now he has to keep his identity from his father, who's a cop. So his father's kind of like playing the part of Aunt May, but it's not a frail old woman; it's a tough cop. So Bendis is taking some Spider-Man cliches, turning them on their ear a little bit, making
so his dad is Captain Stacy?
Basically, yeah. But his dad doesn't know.
I'm sure he will.
Eventually. But that was the whole thing. His
mother's be a great story.
His mother's like, don't make sure your dad never finds out. So that's going to be kind of the thing. He is now met up with Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane because they are kind of helping him because both of them knew how Peter did things. So a real interesting continuation of the story. Dave Marquez doing some great artwork on this. Good stuff overall. Next up, I've got Nova number 4. This is by Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness. Great artwork on this, as we've said many times. At the end of last issue, Nova comes across the Chitauri, who were first introduced in the Avengers movie, although they were kind of introduced in the Ultimate Universe first. But they were the Skrulls, kind of the Ultimate Universe. But no, we've got the big flying space whales, and we've got these guys that look like Chitauri warriors. So I guess they're going to be tying the Marvel Cosmic in this way too. We've got some more tie-ins to the Nova Corps. So all in all, this has been a really fun book.
I like the book quite a bit. I think it is fun is a very good word for it. I think the storytelling has been very strong. I like the tie-ins with the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're being very smart with that book. You can read the comic and just enjoy the comic, but they're also setting the stages. They're trying to do something with their cosmic stuff because they're building toward that movie. There's no other reason to bring the Chitauri in other than to tie up all their little threads. But it's smart. If you're going to do it and if you're going to build a giant universe and they're starting to tie in all this stuff with the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, and there's rumors that one of these characters in the trailer looks like Luke Cage. So they're building this whole universe, and if they're going to do that, be smart about it and tie it into those comics too, so that everybody can know what they're getting into when they go and sit down and read a comic or watch the movie.
Sure. I mean,
it ties in and has a similar feeling.
It's great stuff. It's a great plan. The Chitauri pretty much are a blank slate after the Avengers movie. We never really learned anything about them. So now they can flesh that out and basically create a brand new alien threat for the Marvel Universe. I mean, they've got plenty now.
Oh, sure.
But there's always room for more crazy aliens in the Marvel Universe. Next up, we've got FF number 7. This group now enters the Negative Zone. Negative Zone's always a lot of fun. It looks like we've got Blastar, who also was recently in the Fantastic Four, although that was Blastar from thousands of years in the future, or billions of years in the future.
In a different timeline,
to the billions of years in the past. Time travel is always
then there was,
just don't think about it too much. But we got Mike Allred back on artwork. He wasn't on the last issue, although they got someone very similar. This is a strange, kind of wacky, fun book. Looks like we've got the Wizard. The Wizard's son is a member of the group. There's something weird going on with Medusa. I mean, on one hand, it's actually kind of zany and goofy and funny, but it's also got this strange kind of dark current that's running underneath it, because there's some stuff going on in the background that's a little bit sinister. We don't really know what's going on, but it's a great book, a good companion piece to the other Fraction Fantastic Four book, with just some wild stuff. And you got She-Hulk actually has been really good in this book. I kind of get a kick out of her. Next up, Wolverine and the X-Men number 29. At the beginning of this, the Jean Grey School builds a time capsule. And then we jump to 25 years in the future, and we see what the Xavier School or the Jean Grey School is like in the future. We've got Old Man Wolverine, although I didn't think he was supposed to age. But
he looks very much like the Old Man Logan.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And he's got a beard and shorter hair, and some of the weird kids are now instructors. So this is always kind of fun to see, like a jump forward to what may be. And then the Wolverine from the future is actually giving a little bit of a warning to the Wolverine of the present. So fun stuff. It's time traveler. Well, not really time travel. No one's going through time. We're just getting a glimpse, kind of like the Dark Knight Returns of Wolverine and the X-Men, although probably a lot more lighthearted and a lot more fun. But yeah, this has been a great book. Jason Aaron's writing a very, very interesting book with the kids. The last storyline with the Savage Land was a little slow, but it was a lot of fun. It actually had a nice payoff, so it's still worth picking up. That's my stack.
All right, well, I guess it brings me to the top of my stack here. And it's not all that often that an image book, or rather a non-image book or a non-Valiant or something creeps in there. And I've got a Marvel book.
A Marvel event book, no less.
No less. I've got Age of Ultron, issue number 8. I'm really liking this book. I think it's fun. I think the weird turn kind of last issue. Yeah. More of the time travel, more of the weird changing the past, affecting the present, future, whatever.
When the title Age of Ultron was announced, a lot of people were wondering if it was going to wind up like Age of Apocalypse, and now it kind of has. It's go back in time, change the past, and see how the present is different.
Well, they said they're going to try and rectify all the problems that they've created with the time travel. They've already established that Ultron's in the future. One of the guys that comes in here, Joe Wells, has actually said that while he likes the book, he just wears Ultron. But Ultron's everywhere. He's in the book all over the place is the way I've sort of looked at it. He may be operating from the future, but that almost makes it more ominous to me and more interesting. He's learned. How many times you can get your butt kicked and not figure out not to get your butt kicked in that fashion again? And that's what Ultron has done. So I think this is a good book, a strong title, and we're supposed to be getting, Angela in the next issue?
Is it
9 or 10? Is she showing
10.
up in the last issue?
I think it's the last issue.
Okay. Because they've already, Entertainment Weekly has already shown her redesign.
Who looks remarkably like she did before.
Without the Spawn earrings.
A little simpler, maybe. But,
without the, the little, the belt logo in her earrings, whatever.
It's a despawned Angela.
Yeah.
But I wonder how they're going to work her backstory in, because obviously she hasn't been hunting Spawn.
She's going to have to be some kind of cosmic angel, and they're going to tie her in. She's supposed to go into, Guardians of the Galaxy. Or, I don't know. I think the whole book's been really good and fun, and I like what they're doing. What are you looking at there?
I've got a strange pick. It's Doomsday Point 1, number 1 from IDW. This is a John Byrne book. I'm a John Byrne sucker, as I've mentioned many, many times. The interesting thing about this is one of John Byrne's very first works for Charlton Comics was a book called Doomsday Plus 1. So I'm wondering if this isn't kind of a reboot of one of his older ideas. One of the characters...
I thought you were going to make a Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch reference.
Now, if he rebooted that'd be a lot of fun. There's a big, burly, bearded character
that looks like John Byrne.
But also that there was a character in the original series that looked pretty much just like that.
Really?
It's been more than 20 years since I've read that book, so I have no idea. I don't remember any of the characters other than that guy. I'm curious to compare it to see. I know that was sort of a post-apocalyptic type world, I think, and it looks like this is another post-apocalyptic type world. So yeah, I don't know. Just out of curiosity to see if Byrne is now mining his own past.
And I tell you what, if that was an Image book and done by anyone, other than Byrne, seeing as how you and 5 other dudes are the only ones who still care, that might be tearing up the eBay.
But nope. But it's John Byrne. I'm a John Byrne sucker, like I've said many times. I really do like the stuff he's been doing at IDW. The artwork is really just top notch. Some of the best stuff he's done in a long time.
Agreed.
I think now that he's kind of doing his own thing, he's playing in his own sandbox. I think it's just really showing in the work. The stories are tight. The artwork is tight. I mean, it's very old fashioned. I mean, Byrne definitely has a very specific style. It's maybe a little bit more Bronze Age than modern, but. Hey, I'm a little bit more Bronze Age than modern, so I guess it fits for me.
I'm a little bit rock and roll. I'd also like to mention this week that we did get more copies of Touching Evil, Dan Doherty's book. We had sold out last week quickly, or 2 weeks ago, in the first day. So anyone who missed that, we've got that. Pick that up. There's also really good stuff. There's also an original graphic novel for Adventure Time this week, oddly enough, and that looks pretty cool. It's all black and white. It looks really neat. So with that is your Week in Geek.